The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, the bacon is sizzling. Welcome to the Daily Swole.
Welcome everyone to episode 206 of the Daily Mother Swole. Thank you for joining me on Facebook Live. Thank you for joining me on YouTube and also on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Stitcher for the podcast. Strange little scenario right now. I'm sitting down, which is extremely awkward. Even though I did it yesterday in the car, it's extremely awkward for the Daily Swole. I'm so used to standing up. This feels a little bit uncomfortable. I feel like I'm less spry. Like I can't attack if a tiger comes after me. I can't jump on that shit. So I feel a little bit defenseless. So if I seem a little bit reserved, that's why. I'm afraid if a tiger is going to jump up here on the 5th floor. So I'm still out of town. The Daily Swole will be back. Well, it'll be here every day at 12 noon Eastern time, but I will be back in the normal flow in a day or two. But welcome, 12 noon Eastern time. I hope you're enjoying my Snapchats and all my different social media postings last couple days. Thank you for your support so far. If you're on Facebook Live and you haven't checked out that new Spotlight video, earn it. If you have not, it's on my main Facebook page, so make sure you go take a look, watch it, and if you like it, enjoy it, share it with people that are close to you. It's a great video about earning on all levels of your life, and it relates to yesterday's Daily Swole. So if you didn't watch yesterday's Daily Swole, you might want to pop on over and check out yesterday's episode number 205. So 206 today, we're going back into the fitness realm. We're going back into actual exercise speak, so to speak. We're going to talk about bench pressing and push-ups, which one's better for you. There's a couple different benefits for doing a push-up over a bench press, and there are many benefits to doing a bench press over a push-up, and there are many additional benefits to doing both. So it's not something that you have to be completely limited to where you're only doing one or the other. But let's talk about why or just what some of the benefits, some of the pros are for doing push-ups by themselves and doing push-up style workouts, calisthenic style workouts, versus doing bench press or resistance bodybuilding style training workouts. Now, of course, if you're a bodybuilder, it doesn't mean you can't do push-ups. And if you like to do calisthenics, mostly doesn't mean you can never do a bench press. We're just talking about, if you are heavily overloading your workout program one way or the other, what some of those goals should be for you if you have most of one or the other in your program. So in terms of push-ups are bodyweight exercise. The issue with bodyweight exercises is the overload. Now, all the research from exercise science, all the actual tactile and feedback that I can give from my own personal experiences relates to resistance and overload being a major component, the intensity of your workout, how close you are to a 1 repetition max, the intensity of your workout, and how that correlates to the adaptation of the muscles. No matter what you're doing, no matter what exercise program you're doing, no matter what environment you put yourself in, your body is going to try to adapt. You want to force your body to need to adapt to that situation. If your body is forced to adapt, it'll be forced to get better endurance, it'll be forced to build more muscle. Anything that you get out of fitness, when you're getting better abs, when you're getting more lean, when you're building more muscle, when you're losing weight, all those things are adaptations. You're forcing your body to adapt. You're putting your body in a situation. Where it cannot maintain where it is right now. It has to change. It has to either lose weight, it has to build muscle, it has to do A, B, C, and D in order to survive, because you're putting it in an environment and in situations on a regular basis that force it to need to change. Whether or not that's building muscle, losing fat, anything that you're training for, it's an adaptation, it's a defense mechanism. So your body is not being aggressive, your body is not changing because, Johnny wants to build muscle, he wants to be on the cover of Muscle and Fitness, let me get bigger. No, that's not how it works. Your body have to have its back against the wall. Your body needs to be forced to adapt. Okay? You go to a warmer climate, it seems hot for a while, and then you get used to the heat. You go to a colder climate, it seems freezing at first, and you get used to the cold. Your body adapts to environment. It's called acclimatizing. That's why Olympians and that's why sports teams, if they can, they go to different areas of the world for a game or for a competition. They go a couple weeks before so they can acclimate to the temperature, the humidity, the altitude, and all those different variables. What's up, Guy, on Facebook? Welcome, welcome. So when you're doing bodyweight exercises, you are limiting the amount of overload that you can do. First off, it's very functional because you're activating a lot of core musculature, because you're integrating your upper body, your upper core structure, your lower core structure, and your appendages, your arms and your legs. And you're coordinating, you're getting a lot of neuromuscular coordination, you're organizing that over the entire frame of the body. The issues with push-ups will be after doing 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 repetitions, 80, 90, 100, 500 a day, 1,000 a day, however many push-ups you choose to do a day, you are limiting the amount of intensity, you're limiting the overload that you can put on your body. Can you put on a weight vest? Sure. Can you load plates on your back? Sure. But still, those are going to have their limits. Those are going to have their maximum capacities. That's going to limit your absolute ability to isolate the chest completely and to overload the muscles enough to build absolute raw size. Raw size. And the reason why I say that, and the proof is in the pudding, because people that are trying to build the most mass, if you're trying to build the most mass, if you're trying to be Mr. Olympia, if you're trying to compete on stage, if push-ups were the best way to do it, they would do it. But obviously Mr. Olympia, Phil Heath, Ronnie Coleman, Arnold Schwarzenegger, they did push-ups, but they also did a lot of heavy weights because the body adapts a certain way. And it's irrelevant whether they did steroids or not, because taking steroids does not guarantee that you're going to have shape, big size. It takes a lot more than just a little bit of extra testosterone, or a lot, to get to that level. So push-ups, if that was the be-all, end-all, everyone would do it, but they don't for a reason, because you generally have a cap, a max cap, where you definitely can build muscle. You definitely can build muscle, but you're going to have your limits, because push-ups have their limit with how much weight you can do, how much resistance, how slow you can do push-ups. The better idea, or the better use of a push-up, is to do stabilization exercises. You can get into one-arm push-ups and that kind of fancy stuff, or one-leg push-ups, but doing slow and controlled movements, doing 4, 5, 6 second counts on the way down of the movement, on the downwards portion, the eccentric portion. You can watch some of my other daily swoles where I talked about negatives and eccentric training. That type of activation will stimulate a lot of nerve fibers and coordinate the muscles a lot better. It'll get you a lot more neuromuscular coordination, activate a lot of the internal and intrinsic stabilizers of the core and also the rotator cuff that are very good for, like you said, Eric, warming up and supersetting with bench. You can do strength endurance. A lot of endurance training is great for push-ups. The benefits, whereas you're getting the stabilization, as you're getting some, let's say, mind muscle or neuromuscular coordination and connection with the push-up. What you're getting with a bench press is yin and yang. You're getting what you're not getting from the push-up. You're getting the overload. You're getting the intensity. You're getting the motor unit recruitment. Motor unit recruitment means you are activating and you're firing and your body is gathering all the muscle nerve fibers, and the nerve cells are activating because you are putting such an external, the load, the volume, the amount of the external stimulus on the body. Motor unit recruitment is the body saying, hey, neurons, we need to get all of you, all around, as many as possible. We need all of you to come together and work right now while Dash is doing a bench press. So you're gathering more motor units, and the more motor units you have, those motor nerve cells, the more of those cells that you have activating, the more fibers that will fire and contract. Now, the next phase of that is the synchronization, is making sure that all those fibers activate together. The push-ups are great because they'll help with that kind of coordination, but once you're increasing the resistance and increasing the overload, doing sets like 8, 10, 15 reps to failure on a bench press, a dumbbell press, a machine press, anything with extra overload that isolates the chest more, you are synchronizing those fibers better. You will get all those motor units, all those motor cells that are firing and that are being gathered to synchronize and to fire at the same time, producing more force. So the heavier you go, the heavier weight you use, and the less reps you're going to failure, let's say 4 reps to failure, 5 reps to failure, 6 reps to failure. Once you start going in that range, you start delving into that motor unit recruitment and that motor unit synchronization, where not only are you gathering those motor and those muscle nerve cells, you're getting them to fire at the same time. This is a great principle to combine. When you're combining the concepts of push-ups and combining the concepts of heavier strength training, you get something in the middle where you're getting more volume, moderate reps like 8 to 12, 15 reps to failure. You could be supersetting bench press with push-ups like you were talking about earlier, Eric. When you get that together, when you combine that, a little bit of the endurance, a little bit of the breakdown, the lower intensity, not doing maximum repetitions, but doing about 6 to 15 reps to failure, you start getting in that hypertrophic range. So if you're a male, if you're a female, and we're talking about other body parts as well, these rep ranges and these intensity schemes work for those as well. If you are failing and you're doing a weight that's about 70 to 80% of your maximum output for one repetition, so if you're doing 200s a max rep, you multiply it by 0.7 or 0.8 and you get your range for about 70 to 80% intensity for your output. And that should give you a weight where you're doing about 6 to 15 repetitions. Doing 3, 4, 5 sets per set of whatever exercise you're choosing to do, specifically a bench press, will, over the long term, not today, not by next week necessarily, but over the course of 3, 4, 5, 6+ weeks, will start forcing your body to adapt and build more muscle mass. It takes time. It's a cumulative effort. It's a cumulative result. It will pile on over the course of weeks, months, and of course years. I'm not saying train exactly like this nonstop for years. You have to break off from that, give your body recovery time, build up, go a little bit more for strength. You can break in and out of certain training patterns so you don't get into these plateaus. But the most important concept is whatever you choose. If you want more overload, if you want more muscle size, if you want more endurance, whatever programming you choose, you need to stick with it over a longer period of time. Whatever you do in the short term, those acute variables, changing your reps, changing your exercises, changing your rest period, those things you're changing today are called acute variables. Changing those things today and doing those things in a certain way every day over the long term will give you a certain long-term adaptive result. You need to think long term, you need to think with patience, you need to think with vision, and you need to do the things today and tomorrow and the next day, whether you like it or not, in order to get that end result. If you want big muscles, then guess what? You need to train, eat, do things today, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, in order to get that result in 2 years, in 3 years, in 4 years, in 5 years. Not a lot of people want to take the effort today that's going to pay off in 5 years or 10 years. It's hard to think that far into the future and stay motivated. That's why I talk about motivation being bullshit. It's all about discipline and doing it. That's a little bit of a different topic. That's a little bit more of a mental approach, but it's all connected. So understand that when you're doing your push-ups, when you're doing your bench pressing, whichever one that you're biasing yourself towards more in your training is going to lead to that end result in the future. So make sure you pick wisely and then train hard for it. I'll say for a few minutes after on Facebook Live, thank you so much for joining me on YouTube and SoundCloud, iTunes, and Stitcher for the podcast. Join me every day at 12 noon Eastern Time for more Daily Swole. I will see you tomorrow on Facebook Live for episode 207 for the Daily Swole. Remember, check out my Facebook Spotlight video on my Facebook page at Swolenormous. That way you can like it, you can share it. It's called Earn It. It's awesome. And you can catch yesterday's Daily Swole soon on YouTube, all the podcasts on SoundCloud and iTunes, and make sure you follow me through the day on Instagram and more up-to-date information on Snapchat. Thanks for joining me. Peace out. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Let's get it out.